Inning home run to help the Red Sox rally and top the Blue Jays 5-4 at Fenway. Javier Baez hit a walk-off single to center last night off Amir Garrett to give the Cubs a 6-5 win. And lastly, after being down 7-0 to Houston, the Mariners completed a huge comeback, which included a go-ahead grand slam from Dylan Moore in the 8th inning to lift Seattle over Houston 11-8. For all your latest sports news and updates, keep it tuned right here to 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
And here we go.
You're in the recruiting hour on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
You're the 2 o'clock.
Yes, I am.
Here are your hosts, Mike Schaefer and Connor Happer. Brought to you by Bubbles and Blocks.
Welcome into the recruiting hour. Mike Schaefer, Connor Happer here on 93.7 The Ticket. It is Tuesday. Football starts on Friday.
Yeah.
Fan day, press conference, all of that good stuff on Thursday. What other things? The opening splash show is on Friday.
Yeah. Opening splash show. I like that.
I will be at the Mark for tomorrow's show. We're hoping to have some recruits on. Good guest list. I had a chance to look at it finally. There will be some interesting people I will have to recruit to come on to the show during 2 to 3 tomorrow. So that's kind of the plan for tomorrow's show. It'll be a little bit different than usual, but I'm hoping to have 3, maybe 4 different recruits rolling through, doing some interviews there. Maybe we'll rope Mike Sauter into joining us for a little bit because he'll be over there talking about doing Mike Sauter stuff. So,
yeah.
I mean, it's a rare chance to see him in action, and we'll have to lightly twist his elbow to get him to join the show.
Yeah, you might not need much of a twist.
It's a fun week. There's a lot going on, which is nice because it means that we are right back into the swing of things with football. However, I want to spend at least the first part of today's show talking a little Nebraska basketball. We did it a little bit last Thursday. In our first show back, we hit on media days for the most part, and then we kind of finished with Nebraska basketball last Thursday. They had a second media appearance in as many weeks. I think they did it last Tuesday, and they did it again this Tuesday. Split the team up. You got to meet some of the people last week, some new ones this week, including several of their new additions, and Connor Happer was over there, so we will dive into that a little bit today, but we should hit on the opening splash, which of course is brought to you by our friends at the Pawnee Plunge, who we will be visiting again on Friday. If you have nothing going on Friday, or even if you do, cancel it. Come to Columbus, 2 to 6. We are going to be there the entire time having fun. Then we'll have some guests stop by. We will have, hopefully, Steve Sipple. We'll see if we can get him in person. At the very least, he'll normal Friday guest for you. So we will have him on in some capacity in his hometown. And we'll see what other hijinks we can come up with as we are going to be doing a show from a water park, which is this the first water park appearance in Ticket history?
I don't know. There was a few years before I showed up, so I can't confirm that, but I'd say it's likely.
Yeah, I just don't know if the Ticket ever went to Capital City Shores or something at some point in time. I would doubt it. I would doubt it very much. In your illustrious Ticket history, what are some of the more unique places that you have done a radio show from? Not called a game or anything, but I know you guys have done gas stations.
Uh-huh.
We were just at the big grilling store a couple of weeks ago.
Uh-huh.
Obviously bars and restaurants, those aren't unusual. Is there anything else that sort of stands out as you think back?
Gosh, no, I don't think so. The water park would definitely be the most unique one, I think. Bars and restaurants usually, but what are you waiting for? I thought the MLB in Omaha thing was really cool, but that was just like a personal thing.
Yep.
Big Ten tournament stuff.
MLB
like
in
that.
Omaha. Was that the same for the Big Ten tournament? It was the same location?
Pretty
each time?
much. Much.
Yeah. I remember that. That was right when my show started. Then we were going on location right away.
Were we?
It was like within a couple of weeks. Yeah.
Sure.
So
makes sense.
Just baptism by fire.
That's right. But you learned.
Yeah. And now we're going to water parks. So anything is possible. Dream big, children. All right. Opening splash today. Nebraska's JoJo Domann is on the watch list. It is watch list season. There are a bunch of watch lists out there, but this is, I think, one of the bigger awards. I was going to throw you a very random question and just see what like your off the cuff answer would be to the question that I'll have after this. But JoJo Domann is one of 90 players selected on the preseason watch list for the Bronco Nagurski Award, which Nebraska has only won in one time since 1993. Can you name that player? That's not even the question. This should be very easy. The Nagurski Award is awarded to the best defensive player in the country.
Best defensive player in the country, Sue.
Yes, that's Nebraska's lone winner. Very easy trivia there. No, what I was going to ask, everyone knows the Heisman. So the Heisman is like the big one, but then there's like 12 to 15 other awards. And
are you going to ask me how many of them I can name?
Actually, yes, I wasn't going to.
Damn.
And now I want to.
Okay, the Doak Walker is the running back one.
I need to pull up a list.
Yeah, get the list. I'll name some. The Maxwell is the best player, just overall. And the Nagurski, as you said, is the defensive one. The Outland is the offensive lineman.
Yep.
The Broyles is the best assistant coach.
Yep.
The wide receiver one, Blitnikoff.
Yes, very good.
The tight end is the Mackey.
Yes.
I think that's all the offensive ones, right? Quarterback.
You don't have the running back.
I said Doak Walker.
Did you say Doak Walker?
Yes.
I might have missed it. You don't have quarterback either.
The quarterback is the Davey O'Brien.
No, that is national. Well, there's two of them. So there's outstanding senior quarterback and then national quarterback award. For the purposes of this, the Davey O'Brien's the bigger of the two. So we will say you were correct.
Yes. Okay, perfect.
Do you want to just know what the other one is? It's on the ESPN list for awards.
What is it?
This is the Johnny Unitas Golden Arm
Oh,
Award
I've heard of that.
for most outstanding senior quarterback.
Tanner Lee was on the watch list for that.
I'm sure he was. I don't think he was a finalist.
Defensively, okay, so oh man.
You left off one award that is named for a player that went to Nebraska. Unless I misheard or I didn't hear you say it.
I said the Outland.
Well, yeah, but the Outland's not for a name.
Oh, the Remington.
There you
go.
go.
The Remington.
There
center.
you go. Now you have all the
How about the kicker, Groza?
Groza, yes.
Yes.
You have the punter?
It is Ray Guy.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Wow, this is going
You're doing
better.
very
This
well.
is going better than I thought.
This is much better than when I have you pick someone's top 10 of a player you heard of when I said his name.
Okay, give me the defensive ones. What am I missing?
Okay. So you are missing for defense. We've already said Nagurski, so that one's out. You are missing linebacker. Defensive player of the year. There's two of them. There's Nagurski and there's another one. You're missing defensive back.
JoJo Domann had to have been on that list too, right?
Was he on the Butkus Award? I just gave that away. Sorry. As soon as I said it, I was like, you moron.
Butkus. Yes.
I
don't know any of the defensive ones. Give them to me. I'm going to be sad.
This one you should know. The Jim Thorpe is best defensive back.
The Thorpe, yes.
Which surprisingly, I don't know that Nebraska has won, despite having what I would argue to be, if you were to pick the position in which they have had the most run of top talented players, I would say defensive back. That would be the position that I would pick. If you think about like all the guys they put in the NFL, all the just like top players that they have had.
I get along with that.
The award goes all the way to 1986, and Nebraska has never won it, despite a number of very, very good corners and safeties that they've had during that run. Guys like Mike Minner, Mike Brown, Ralph Brown.
Wow.
Prince
Amukamara.
Yep, Prince Amukamara. He was definitely a semifinalist. I don't know if he was a finalist for it. So the Jim Thorpe, that was the defensive back. And then the Chuck Bednarik Award.
Dang.
Which, again, Chuck Bednarik and Bronco Nagurski are both listed as Defensive Player of the Year.
Okay, yeah, I've heard of both of those, though.
And in the last 3 years, at least, the players have been the same. They should just merge the two of them. I can't see more than just three, and I'm not going to look at both.
Defensive line?
There is not a list for defensive line because I assume that also encompasses the Outland.
Yes, I think it is
Yeah.
just
And then-
linemen.
Did you say the Lombardi Award? That's
No.
for the nation's top player.
No,
The
I
Campbell.
thought that was the Maxwell.
Yep. See, that's the most outstanding.
Stupid.
Yeah.
And then there's also the Heisman,
There's a Heisman. Yeah.
which does exist.
There's the Campbell Trophy, which
We're getting into the deep now.
this
I
is-
got all the important ones.
this is top scholar athlete.
Dumb.
The Ted Hendricks Award is the Defensive End of the Year award,
Nobody's ever heard of that.
and it was not awarded in 2020. The Johnny Rogers.
The kick
punt
returner.
return.
Yeah,
Yep.
punt returner.
That's not even on this list, so someone has a bone to pick with ESPN.
the Johnny the Jet Award. Yes.
The Lot Impact Defensive Player.
Nebraska's had a lot of people on that watch list.
Yep. The Paul Horning Award, which is most versatile player.
Didn't DPE win that?
Did he win that or was he nominated?
Oh, he may.
He was just nominated.
a
He
couple
won
times.
the Jet, which is the punt returning one. The Disney Spirit Award.
Oh God.
Most inspirational player or team.
All right, so I got all the important ones.
Tyler
Did-
Trent
wait.
won that in 2018.
I was going to ask. That's a deserving recipient, but I was going to ask. Did Northwestern win it every year? It appears not.
Northwestern has never won the award. I will tell you some other winners of it. James Conner, deserving, 2016.
Yeah.
Bob Stoops won it in 2014, and I'm not sure why. Do you remember the Boston College linebacker that had cancer, Mark Herzlich?
Yeah,
He won it in
Herzlich.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He won it in 2010. In 2008, again, not sure why he won it, Tim Tebow. He was
He's
I don't know if
inspirational.
his speech that Florida will not lose again, and then they did not.
He
perhaps.
he has a close relationship with the man upstairs.
Well, yes. Also a close relationship with Disney. That's where I thought you were going with it. I was like, oh, this is nice. Good Walt Disney joke here. And then you didn't go with it.
Sorry.
No, you're good. The Eddie Robinson Award for the
Coach.
FCS Coach of the Year.
FCS coach? Oh.
Yep. And then the who is
The Dodd. The Dodd?
No, they changed it. It's now the Home Depot Award for Coach of the Year.
Oh, great. Yeah.
So Home
perfect.
Depot. Yeah, that's your.
Who was
that's your
National
list
Coach of the
awards.
Year last year?
The National Coach of the Year last year was Jamie Chadwell.
Coastal Carolina?
Yeah, very nice. I would not have gotten that right.
No.
I just wouldn't have. I don't feel that bad about
Not the guy
it.
who
Today I forgot who Texas's head coach was.
Sarkeesian.
Yeah.
Saw him at the World Series.
Did you say sup?
Sup. Yeah, that's what I said.
I hope you did. I really did.
I didn't say sup.
Dang.
I didn't say sup.
Oh, that ruins it. That ruins it so much. All right. So no, what my actual question would be to you is like after the Heisman Trophy, what do you think the next actual award that matters? Is it a coaching one? Is it an individual play? Like, do you care about any of these?
Not really. Not really. I think the one I mean, usually the Heisman and the Maxwell are the same person.
Normally.
Last
year,
unless it's Sue, of course.
So it was Smith the last year for both, Burrow for both in 2019, and then Kyler Murray won the Heisman, but Tagovailoa won the Maxwell.
Yeah, but not really. A coach of the year is a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
Coach, I always pay attention to who the coach of the year is.
Could I sell you because they generally never have a chance to win the Heisman that the Outland Trophy should sit up there pretty high?
Super
Because
cool.
Usually the winner of that is one of the three best linemen in the country.
Well, and they're almost
and-
always like top draft picks
Right.
too. Yeah.
Like, I mean, the list of the winners of this is pretty dang good. And so I would make the case that maybe the Outland would be my second behind the Heisman, but it's almost in part because the guys like a Sue could never win the Heisman, but he won the Outland Trophy.
He certainly could have won the Heisman.
It's very hard for him to. I mean, if
Didn't he? But he won the Maxwell, right?
Right. It still does not make sense to me how everyone can agree that was the best player in college football.
I would love to go on that tangent today if you want
not
to. Yeah.
win the Heisman.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
It doesn't. No, it still doesn't make any sense. It actually gets worse as the years pass.
Time does not make that decision better.
No.
And obviously, I mean, Mark Ingram, fine, but had no business winning the
No.
Heisman. So,
No, that's all.
so it goes. All right. I did not mean to spend as much time on that as we did, but so it goes. All right, basketball. Hard transition to basketball. You had a chance to pop over there. Some different players spoke today. What stood out to you of the players you met today for the first time?
I just think in general, so we've got a chance to meet everybody with the exception of Tominaga.
Who, by the way, is he's now out of the Olympics.
No. They made it.
Well, they played that game this morning.
Oh, crap.
The quarterfinal game was this morning. They lost to Latvia 21-19.
Ah, damn. 21-18. And just seeing
18,
it right,
yeah.
just seeing it right.
It was 20-18. He had a shot to tie it and missed, and then there was a dumb foul, and they won on a free throw, which is a lame way.
But he was like the star of the team.
Yeah,
Tominaga was the guy.
He had one bad game out of the 6 or 7 that they played, and it's funny because they're only playing to 21 or they're on a time limit. And, so the numbers, like, they don't seem astounding. Like, oh, cool, he had 8 points. But, like, that's pretty good when you're playing to 21.
He was 4th in the entire tournament in scoring at that point at almost 7 points a game.
Yeah.
It's 7 points a game. You're only playing to 21. It's a third of your team's points.
And it's also confusing to some people because they're playing by 1s and 2s.
Right.
And so you would see people talking about how many 2s he hit.
Tominaga, 4-2.
Yeah, exactly. So he had a great tournament. He's going to be a lot of fun, but yeah, he's the one guy that you have not met yet.
Correct. And Oleg.
Oh yes.
And Oleg.
I forget about Oleg.
Oleg's not here yet.
Yeah.
Oleg's still somewhere else, wherever he's from, I think. But yes, that would be.
Can you pronounce his last name without thinking about it?
Koyenets.
Okay. I was not going to be close.
Radio guy.
Yeah.
Was
not going to be close, and I'm not even going to say what I thought it was.
I will say this. So we've met 12 guys now over the last 2 weeks. And, in the past, I don't know if Nebraska basketball teams have been known for personality or, color. And this team's pretty bright. Like they think about it. And I think another thing that's really been good for them is they've got to be together off the court and not take everything so seriously, right? They had to constantly worry last year about, and most of this is a new group, but they had to constantly worry about, what consequences their moves would do whenever they left their apartments, so they're not in that sphere anymore. And they've gotten to bond. They've been to Topgolf. They've been bowling. They've been, they did a spin class.
The Topgolf video from yesterday was pretty great.
Well, it was just Sam Hoiberg dominating.
There's nothing.
He was like throwing balls up to himself and hitting them off the turf, and nobody else could swing the club at all.
There's nothing that makes people that aren't not athletic feel like athletes more than watching like very athletic individuals struggle with hand-eye coordination sports like golf, or watching like someone like Shaq swing a baseball bat.
Yes.
It makes you feel like you are just incredible.
It does.
Because you shoot in the 90s and you look somewhat natural swinging a golf club.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas this 6'7" basketball star has never done it before and then is asked to go do it.
I always end up like next to a baby at the golf range. And I'm like,
who is letting the baby play?
It's not like a baby, but it's like a little kid.
Baby?
It's like a little tiny kid. And I'm like, you idiot kid. You don't know anything about this. You're not even strong enough to swing that golf club. And they kind of just go at it like they're chopping wood or something like that. I'm like, man, you got so much to learn, you little baby. Watch this. I'm gonna slice this 150 yards into the right net.
Don't worry about what direction it goes. Just marvel at the ball.
Watch it how impressive this is, you baby. All right. So I think they have some personality to them, which is good, and some leadership. Derek Walker is certainly taking ownership in that. Kobe Webster has done the same. You're hearing good things on the talkative front from newcomer Karan McPherson. There's a couple guys that it seems like if offensively they might not be able to compete with the top 5, 6, or 7 guys Nebraska has, that they can kind of make a niche for themselves defensively.
And that's McPherson.
I would put McPherson in that category.
He's the one with the quote where he's like, I want people to like me. And if that takes playing defense, then they're going to like me.
That's right. I think we may have that somewhere in here, but he's like, I want to play defense. It doesn't really matter. Like that's what I could do. Oh yeah. Here we go. Here is Karan McPherson today on his defense.
I feel like defense is just a big part of playing basketball. If you can't defend nobody, you can't play at no level. If I go to the NBA, if I can't guard no one, I can't get on the court. It don't matter how much talent you got. You got to be able to guard somebody, and it's your grit and how you feel about that person scoring on you, how you take it personally. So I feel like if you got the ball and I can take the ball from you every time, I'm going to take the ball.
I love it. Love it. So him, and I think I would put maybe at this point Keon Edwards into that conversation a little bit as well. I think he can shoot it a little bit, but yeah, I'm super interested in this team and how they kind of make it all work, make it all mesh, because it's still a little jumbled or hard to figure out at this point, but I'm interested to see how they make it all work because they have the pieces for it.
And you're going to be working in pieces like Alonzo Verge Jr., who you got to meet today.
Yes.
And he's going to be a really kind of fascinating guy as to what his role is. Like if I don't think he transferred here to be another 6-man, and yet at the same time, if like he's comfortable with that and they bring him in to basically be a one-man scoring machine if necessary, that's not the worst thing.
So either. I think if there's one thing that we've learned about him over the last 2 weeks here, from his teammates talking about him and then him, Verge, talking today, is that he was definitely, I mean, that was kind of what he was known for at Arizona State. You'd come off the bench and you get a couple buckets, and he had the one game where he dropped 43 out of the 56, and they lost by 40 to St. Mary's in one of the weirdest things that I've ever seen box score wise. But I think he's a playmaker too. They've tried to highlight that a little bit.
The videos that they've sent out, and his teammates talk about that as well. Kobe Webster said today he's a better passer than he thought he was going to be coming in. So my guess would be that he slots into that starting lineup with in that backcourt with Trey McGowan. Could he be the primary ball handler, or do you think that he's going to be secondary off of Trey?
I think he will be secondary off of Trey, but I think it's something that he can do.
Yeah. That is the one thing with this team that like gives me the most pause is I don't know exactly if I feel like Trey McGowan can be your primary ball handler and your offense runs smoothly because of it or not. But
they have options.
Well, that's the thing.
They have guys who could bring the ball up.
Maybe certainly more so than the last 2 years, but more so than other teams. It feels like they're really deep, at least in terms of guys that you don't know what the rotation is going to look like when it gets to crunch time, but it just feels like they go much deeper with people that can do different things for them.
No doubt. McPherson too. Breidenbach maybe can handle it a little bit, which is good. And Bryce and Trey will have the ball in their hands a ton too.
And your boy Derek Walker still retains a very important role. Unsung, no one talks about him, but he's very important.
No doubt. And I wonder how that works out with the big man, because maybe it's Andre. Like maybe Andre's the guy who fits a little bit better. I think Walker would be an awesome big off the bench to bring in, and then you can even maximize instead of having him undersized working up against Kofi Coburn. Andre's a little stronger, and Walker could still do the little things right. I like that idea personally.
Yeah, that'll certainly be fun to watch. All right, we're going to come back with Parker Gabriel next on the Recruiting Hour.
The following is a test of the emergency alert system.
You're listening to the Recruiting Hour with Mike Schaefer and Connor Happer on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Summertime is here and the temperature is rising. Beat the heat at the Pawnee Plunge Water Park in Columbus all summer long. Pawnee Plunge features a full day of fun for the whole family, including the Flow Ride, the only one in Nebraska, a large swimming pool, diving boards, a lazy river, climbing wall, and of course, massive water slides. It's a great place for parties or a great spot to lounge around all day long. Book your party by calling 402-562-4269. Come splash and play the Pawnee Plunge Way in Columbus from May 31st through August 8th.
Hi, Andy Neal of Cartridge World. We are not a big box store that sells everything and specializes in nothing. Cartridge World is your local expert when it comes to streamlining office printing and scanning. No big box can match our proven no-cost lease program. We customize solutions that supply you with multifunction printers and all the required service just for buying cartridge roll, ink, and toner at a 30% savings. Call for a no-cost consultation, 464-3455, or go online to cartridgeworld.com.
I was in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean when it happened. There was a sudden jolt and our submarine crashed on the seafloor. We were in total darkness.
That's Dr. Dejana Figueroa, a marine biologist and STEM teacher, talking about a deep sea dive she'll never forget.
It's funny, when I was a kid, I was afraid of the ocean, and there I was 2 miles below the surface. But as a scientist, you prepare for that. Using our training and a little creativity, we fixed the sub and finished our experiments. The dive was just too important. Every dive gives us glimpses at things few people ever get to see. Glowing creatures, fiery undersea volcanoes. When we got back to the surface, I kissed the ground and called my mom, of course. But you know what? I wouldn't trade that dive for anything.
Dr. Figueroa uses her passion for STEM to discover new things and make the world a better place. She can STEM, so can you. Check out She Can STEM for more stories and inspiration. A message from the Ad Council.
If you're feeling past your prime with low libido, fatigue, or weight gain, you might be experiencing low T. At Vitalize Health, they can help treat low T and get you back on track. Rami and Jackie have focused their careers on whole body wellness and can help with everything from testosterone replacement to Botox to help the outside match the inside and regain your youthful appearance. Vitalize Health does accept insurance. Call them today at 402-413-0717 or go online to vitalizehealthne.com.
From Alfred Hitchfield, the master of suspense. They're growing. Today, there are 1,000. Tomorrow, there will be 2,000. Comes a tale of mystery and multiplication.
In a year, there'll be 365,000 and 3,650,000 in 10 years.
Wait a minute. What are we talking about here?
The dollars you get if you win Lucky for Life from the Nebraska Lottery. $1,000 a day for life.
What's with the scary music?
We do lots of movie trailers. Force of habit.
Top prize odds 1 in 30 million. You know that music. It's the theme for America's favorite spooky family. And we've got them. Play $5 The Addams Family Fortune, the new scratch ticket from the Nebraska Lottery. The top prize is $50,000, and you can choose from frighteningly fun tickets featuring Gomez, Morticia, Uncle Fester, and other classic characters. And see The Addams Family 2 in theaters October 11th. So lurch into a Nebraska Lottery retailer and pay a visit to The Addams Family. Top prize odds 1 in 96,000.
At first, I was really nervous and intimidated to buy a ring. I wasn't sure what I was getting into.
My experience at Starter Heyman was very easy. I felt like I walked out of Starter Heyman with the ring that was going to make her go wow and say yes.
I love my ring. It is so beautiful.
I absolutely love my ring. I get compliments on it all the time. I always tell them Starter Heyman.
Yeah, we would definitely recommend Starter Heyman.
Yeah, it was great.
We're definitely coming back in the future. Sauter Heyman Jewelers, Lincoln and Grand Island. SauterHeyman.com.
Mike Schaefer here with 5-star child care provider Lee Beecher from Bubbles and Blocks. Let's start with what makes Bubbles and Blocks special.
We have 3 beautiful locations in Lincoln that provide the safety, security, and reliability you need while also bringing a family feel to each classroom at every location.
I also hear some congratulations are in order.
Thank you. Yes, we just won the Lincoln Choice Award for Best Daycare and Preschool for the 3rd year in a row.
What should people do if they want to join the Bubbles and Blocks family?
Call to set up a tour to enroll your child today, or you can visit bubblesandblocks.com to apply to join our team.
Baseball's back in Lincoln. Salt Dogs Baseball has returned, and we're celebrating their 20th season all summer long. In honor of the 20th season, the Salt Dogs are offering specials at every homestand May to September. Come on out for Nebraska Medical Association Thank You Tuesdays, Fairbury Brand Wiener Wednesdays, Thirsty Thursdays, Fireworks Fridays, Souvenir Saturdays, and Sunday Family Fun Days brought to you by Casey's. Get your tickets for the Salt Dogs celebration season at saltdogs.com.
Back to the Recruiting Hour with Mike Schaefer and Connor Happer. Presented by Bubbles and Blocks. On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back to the Recruiting Hour. Mike Schaefer, Connor Happer, and on the line, the latest member of the triumvirate with beards to get married. It is Parker Gabriel, fresh off of his honeymoon, rejuvenated, having skipped Big Ten Media Days.
All right.
He's like ready to go. He was itching to fire out of the cage. When did you fully come back to work? Was it Sunday or Monday?
Sunday I was back pretty much. We got back to Nebraska on Saturday, and then kind of, didn't do a ton on Sunday, but kind of figured out what way was up, so to speak. I mean, to the extent that I ever know that. And then, sort of try to hit the ground running here.
Well, obviously you missed a little bit of time in July, and Nebraska hired a new athletic director. There was media days.
People forget that.
They're actually, outside of the Trev Alberts thing, it didn't feel like there was a huge momentous news-making thing in there. Did you feel like you missed much outside of Trev Alberts? Or was this like a surprisingly quiet period in what is normally, a very upside-down Nebraska offseason every year?
Yeah, normally if you're going to get quiet stretch, it's in July, dead period recruiting wise and all that. So, it's a big qualifier to say if it weren't for the Trev Alberts news, since that's the hiring of a new athletic director. But yeah, outside of that, I think was it the same day? Was it Wednesday that Hayden Schwartz committed?
Yeah, I think it was the same day.
Yeah, that honestly, the college sports world kept turning with Oklahoma and Texas. That stuff sort of cropped up, last week, and I was still not really paying attention to my phone. So that was interesting. But yeah, it was Alberts won, and then I would say a pretty big gulf. Nothing against Hayden Schwartz, but pretty big gulf. And then that was probably the next news story that was like, oh, here's something to make sure that like the Bull and Baz have a handle on.
Yeah, you got to check in with them.
Did you actually have to check in with them, or did you just like leave them alone? What is your vacation status like?
Normally, like in the summer. Okay, only two things. There's really only two ways it happens. Most of the time, I try to go somewhere where I don't get any cell service. Like if I go up north or whatever, like it's great to be, because that's somewhere remote or in the mountains or whatever, and that's how I like to spend time away from the office. Anyways, it has the added benefit of there's no pull toward work because you just can't. Or otherwise, sometimes I end up working through vacations, which isn't ideal. But this was, you guys know, relatively big moment in your life when you got a wedding coming up and then a honeymoon. So this time it was actually really easy for me to stay away from work. Like I saw the email on Wednesday morning about like there's going to be an announcement at 11, and I was like, oh, interesting. And then I just didn't think about it the rest of the day. It was crazy, but that's how it worked. But I guess it was like the day before, maybe. I don't really remember, but like Monday or Tuesday that week, like I had Hayden Schwartz tweets on alert, I guess, and he tweeted that he was committing. So I just screenshotted it and sent it to Sipple and said this kid might be picking Nebraska. And that was it. That's all I did. I didn't hand holding, didn't check in or anything like that. Didn't talk to anybody for a couple weeks. Just sent the one thing that was like, hey, this kid might commit. And then it turned out that was probably the second biggest thing that happened that day.
I did receive a Brewers text last Wednesday.
Oh yeah, well see that's different. Like it has nothing to do with work. It's just
that's true.
Before putting it on the White Sox and taking it 2 out of 3, Milwaukee, got swept for the season by the Royals.
Little did you know, Parker, that you're dealing with an unstoppable train in the Kansas City Royals. So there's no shame.
Yep. I think the Royals might have been aided and abetted by the other team in that a surprising lack of defense. But anyways, we don't need to talk about that.
Did the Bucks win a title during your vacation time too? Like that's incredible.
A lot happened. It was an active 2 weeks. But yeah, in fact, we were in Colorado on our honeymoon, and I knew obviously that Game 6 was happening, but I'm not a big Bucks fan. Like I got on the bandwagon or whatever, but like I'm not a big Bucks fan. But I knew we got done with dinner, and I was like, I think that game started pretty late, at Mountain Time, whatever. So I just checked my phone. It was 77-all, and Ashley was like, we can watch it. Fine. So that was, it was fine. I watched the last 7 minutes of Game 6. And I watched the last 7 minutes of Game 4 on a phone propped up against a water glass at the end of our rehearsal dinner.
Wow.
So that was about all the sports I watched, honestly. A little bit of the British Open, but yeah, it was a sports-filled couple of weeks, and also a marriage-filled couple of weeks. week.
Yeah.
There you go. Look at that. Very
Love.
nice. Let's go from your honeymoon and a period of happiness to Nebraska football, which has not experienced much happiness. But you missed media days. You still probably, at least when you came back, went through some of the coverage of it. I asked Brian Christopherson this earlier in the week. I mean, did you sense, as you sort of read through the quotes, I know you weren't there, but as you read through the quotes, do you feel like there's a little bit of a tone change from what Nebraska is right now in 2021 versus you go back to the last time there was a media days you attended, would have been 2019, coming off of the way they finished the 2018 season? Adrian Martinez is a Heisman candidate. Nebraska's picked to be number 1 in the Big Ten West. I mean, did you sense a tone change at all? Just sort of that reality has maybe pushed Nebraska in a slightly different direction than where things were 2 years ago?
Oh yeah, definitely. But I don't think it was like, but I would say, I don't think that is like, and this isn't what you asked, but like, I don't think they showed up at Big Ten Media Days this year and shifted the tone. I mean, I think the results have sort of pushed it that way. Like you could tell last winter, that it can sound like nails on a chalkboard to fans talking about, oh, hey, we're close, this one or two things that we haven't got a lot of breaks, all that. And, there's some degree with things like that, excuses like that, there can be truth to them. But you just fans get tired of hearing it. And I thought you could tell last year, especially, even when every team in the country had built-in excuses about COVID and how weird it was and all that, like you could just tell, I think, that the players and coaches, they get sick of that too. Like even sitting around with Ryan Held on the Big Red Blitz tour last month, like it's like you can see somebody and the skepticism they have in their own mind of like, I don't even want to be saying this, that we're close or that there's reason for optimism or whatever. And so I think that's part of, like, it's just been a general shift over the past year or more because they're 12-20 in the last 3 years. I mean, it's really that simple. And at some point you can have enough building blocks, you can have this and that, but at the end of the day, like, it's gotten to the point where people just care if they win or not. And Trev Alberts, I thought, was talking about that in a different way, but an interesting way, when he said, you have to know what your reality is. And I think that's sort of the situation. Like, everybody knows where Nebraska's at. That everybody knows they're 12-20. Everybody knows that if they don't win at least more games this year than they have the past couple of years, that it's going to get uncomfortable. And I think everybody also knows that on paper, it looks like the most talented team they've had so far. And so what does all of that mean as it pertained to Scott Frost at Media Days? It pretty much meant like him saying, I like this group, I'm confident in this group, but I also understand that, we have to go out and earn any level of respect that we're going to get.
You would have liked this moment, Parker, as he was doing his, Frost was doing his side session that lasted like an hour or 45 minutes. People just throwing questions at him from every angle about whatever it is. And I can't remember exactly what he was talking about, or what he was asked about, but he started to kind of shoot into this comparison of something. And then he kind of sat back from his microphone, thought about it for, a couple seconds, really took his time with it, and then said, no, I'm not going to say that. And then he kind of just moved on to the next thing. So that's kind of what you were talking about there. It's like, you know what, how much can you say, look, we haven't done anything to earn any respect and we're going to go out there and get it. Like it's talking season. That's what you have to do.
Yeah, it definitely is. I mean, that's I don't know. I mean, it's talking season in a lot of different ways, right? Like if you say something about sloganeering, it becomes a thing.
Yep.
If you say something about Adrian Martinez, it just everything becomes a thing, If you say I have no opinion on Texas and Oklahoma, it's like, well, why don't you have an opinion on, earth-shaking news in college football? Like it's like whatever you, in some ways, like you can't. Either there's only two things that are going to happen. One, you're going to say something that turns into a headline that is whatever, it's a problem, or it's going to be like you're going to be like Eli Drinkwitz and you're going to crack a joke like the horns down thing.
Yeah.
Is that, I asked Greg Sankey if horns down was going to be a 15-yard penalty in the SEC, and everybody laughs and then forgets about it 20 minutes later and whatever, So talking season is definitely talking season.
Well, speaking of talking season, Nebraska had 3 players that were at the media days in Austin Allen, Ben Stille, and Deontay Williams. They'll have more players speaking on Thursday. Is there a player or two that you're actively hoping to hear from on Thursday coming out of spring ball? And it has been a little while since we've heard from some of these guys. Is there anyone in particular that you're looking forward to hearing from as football season is about to start from the player perspective?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I think most of I tend like this time of year, I tend to go shape like toward, position battles and all that. Like we've spent most of the off season talking to these guys about their approach and expectations and all of that. And so like stuff I'm curious about is like who makes a move in fall camp depth chart wise. And that's, it's not the only thing you write about obviously, but it is sort of like where my mind goes first because we're close to actually like watching football again. And so that's sort of like what I think about most, but yeah, I mean, I'm curious in a public setting. Like I'm very interested to talk to Adrian Martinez about NIL stuff and how he's found the balance of that. I'm interested to like with a guy like him. I mean, I'm interested to Scott Frost talked about how he seems at peace, and that's interesting to me because you expect that to some degree from a player who's been through the fire, so to speak, and all that. But I'm also curious about if they feel pressure, and that element of it. So, Adrian always is interesting to chat with. And there's some younger guys, like I don't know exactly when it will happen during camp, but like, there's some young guys that are pushing for time, like, maybe at some point, a guy like Jaquez Yant, who earned a scholarship this offseason, or just guys that are fighting for time and fighting for position, Brant Banks and Sichterman, like those tend to be in camp where I gravitate towards. So that's a very long-winded way of saying there's nobody who I'm like super like, okay, we gotta get Cam Jurgens. But I do think there are a lot of interesting storylines that will unfold over the next 4 weeks.
You said something that got my brain working a little bit. If you take guard out of the equation, what is the next closest position battle there will be in fall camp? Because it feels like this team sort of is, as we know it, in 95% of the spots, or at least going to start that way, assuming health. But if you remove guard, then where's that next most interesting position battle for you?
Yeah, well, I think running back, but it's not like heads up, like right guard essentially, and it could change, but like coming out of spring is very much Matt Sichterman and Brant Banks. And then like if Banks doesn't win the job, he's still going to be important because he might be their number 2 guard at both spots, and him and Newelly can both play tackle and all that. But like running back it's sort of more like the how like in track when they run the mile, you don't have a lane, they do like the waterfall start. Like that's kind of like what it seems like. There's just like a bunch of dudes, and you're thinking that okay, maybe like Gabe Ervin or Yant or Marquis Stepp if he's healthy, like maybe someone takes the bull by the horns and they're like the one guy. But more likely, you're gonna get the game week and it's gonna be sort of like, well, we have a 1, and we have like a 2A and a 2B, and they're all gonna get time. And so I think that's the most interesting position group for sure on offense, maybe overall. But I also don't think like it's not a clean one because it's not one, this guy or this guy. It's like, well, it's probably some combination of a couple guys, and then maybe a guy finds a role, or maybe a guy works his way in by week 3, or so it's sort of it's just a little bit messier of a conversation, but it's still an interesting one.
I'm going to try to sneak one last question in here for you, Parker.
I'll be quick about it.
That's completely fine. With Nebraska and recruiting, they have started slow in the past. They've been in similar spots to this in the past, but maybe not this far down in the recruiting rankings. What about this class feels different? And is your concern at all heightened about where Nebraska sits with their 8 commitments at number 61, at least in the 24/7 sports rankings?
Yeah, I can't say I have like a real high level of concern. I mean, I don't really get concerned about this stuff anyways, but I don't think they're in a bad spot. Like, put it that way. I think the thing that feels a little bit different is that in a small recruiting class, there's some guy. It seems to me, that's just my opinion. I don't know this beyond a shadow of a doubt, but it seems to me that there are some guys who they would have just taken because they really wanted them. You know, like Jaron Kanak, or maybe a few others through the cycle, and those guys, the ones who you maybe would have wiggled on your number a little bit with, those guys have for the most part gone elsewhere. Now they've got players in the class they really like, and we'll see how it shakes out. I think it'll be interesting to see what happens the next few days. You've got Jake Mikula and Jaden Mangum making decisions the next few days, and then Quantavis Gaskins maybe coming back for a visit. And like, things are going to kind of pick up again, and I don't think it'll feel quite so slow. But it's maybe just that with 5, if they have, let's say they have 6 or 7 spots left for high school kids in the class, you wonder how much different the feeling would have been if they just would have filled 1 or 2 more with guys you knew were top of the board type players.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right on that one. All right, Parker, we appreciate your time as always.
Hey, Parker, are you? Do you want to come on my show still, or do you want to what do you want to just call this good for the day?
Let's call me in 45 minutes.
I mean, I will if you're like asking, if you're daring me to.
I dare you to. I double dog dare you to.
There we have it.
Well, there's Parker is a content machine. We can ask him. We can ask him anything, and he will go whichever way. Thank you, Parker.
Talk about something else.
Yeah, we'll talk about something else. Cool.
All right, Parker Gabriel, Lincoln Journal-Star. We appreciate it. Thanks, man.
Yep, see you guys.
Content machine, Parker Gabriel. There he goes. All right,
he's right about that. We could just ask him different stuff.
It is true. That's what makes him a versatile. It makes him why he is as popular of a radio guest as he is.
That's right.
Everyone has different questions. They have different things they want to know from Parker, and he has answers for all.
We already hit Brewer Stock, though, so I don't know what we'll go to.
You could ask him about Telluride.
Okay. Yeah.
You could clearly go into minutia about Nebraska football, which you're not known for doing as it is. Anyways, but
I'm not known for that. Come on.
Not with like interviews.
Oh, I know about that. I'm in the minutia.
Yeah, like your show will go into the minutia, but like your interviews generally aren't like minutia based.
No, that's true.
Yeah. See, it wasn't an insult.
You're right.
I felt like you got a little defensive there on me.
Versatile.
All right, we're taking a break. We'll come back.
Hour with Mike Schaefer and Connor Happer on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
I don't know about you guys, but I have been getting back out and hitting different restaurants, hitting different places, and I could not be more excited to get back to Bearshin in Benson, one of the best beer gardens around. The weather's starting to get good, and coinciding with that, they are going back to their full food menu. We're talking the burgers, the Johnny Hammer Pants sandwich, the pretzels, the fries, the salads, if you're one of those people. They got all of it. And they are now open Tuesday through Sunday. That allows you to get over to Bearshin, check out the food, the beer, hang out in the beer garden. You can get that $7 big cheese double Wagyu burger special on Tuesdays. Also, happy hour, 3 to 6, Tuesday through Friday. Don't miss it. Plus, if you're a soccer fan, it's the place to be in Benson. Mike Schaefer here with 5-star childcare provider Lee Beecher from Bubbles and Blocks. Let's start with what makes Bubbles and Blocks special.
We have 3 beautiful locations in Lincoln that provide the safety, security, and reliability you need while also bringing a family feel to each classroom at every location.
I also hear some congratulations are in order.
Thank you. Yes, we just won the Lincoln Choice Award for Best Daycare and Preschool for the 3rd year in a row.
What should people do if they want to join the Bubbles and Blocks family?
Call to set up a tour to enroll your child today, or you can visit bubblesandblocks.com to apply to join our team.
Hi, Andy Neal of Cartridgewold. We are not a big box store that sells everything and specializes in nothing. Cartridgewold is your local expert when it comes to streamlining office printing and scanning. No big box can match our proven no-cost lease program. We customize solutions that supply you with multifunction printers, and all the required service just for buying cartridge roll, ink, and toner at a 30% savings. Call for a no-cost consultation, 464-3455, or go online to cartridgeworld.com.
Baseball's back in Lincoln. Salt Dogs Baseball has returned, and we're celebrating their 20th season all summer long. In honor of the 20th season, the Salt Dogs are offering specials at every homestand May to September. Come on out for Nebraska Medical Association Thank You Tuesdays, Fairbury Brand Wiener Wednesdays, Thirsty Thursdays, Fireworks Fridays, Souvenir Saturdays, and Sunday Family Fun Days brought to you by Casey's. Get your tickets for the Salt Dogs celebration season at saltdogs.com.
At Koppel, you can shop online for the most affordable crossovers, SUVs, cars, and trucks. They have new Chevrolet and GMC or used inventory, all at your fingertips. Hi, I'm Sean Callahan, and before I got my car at Koppel, I shopped online at koppelcars.com. I found a vehicle I liked, then I drove that money-saving mile to Koppel in Louisville. You should too. It was just minutes from I-80 or at koppelcars.com.
At first, I was really nervous and intimidated to buy a ring. I wasn't sure what I was getting into.
My experience at Starter Heyman was very easy. I felt like I walked out of Starter Heyman with the ring that was going to make her go wow and say yes.
I love my ring. It is so beautiful.
I absolutely love my ring. I get compliments on it all the time. I always tell them Starter Heyman.
Yeah, we would definitely recommend Starter Heyman.
Yeah, it was great.
We're definitely coming back.
Sauter Heyman Jewelers, Lincoln and Grand Island. SauterHeyman.com.
Summertime is here and the temperature is rising. Beat the heat at the Pawnee Plunge Water Park in Columbus all summer long. Pawnee Plunge features a full day of fun for the whole family, including the Flow Ride, the only one in Nebraska, a large swimming pool, diving boards, a lazy river, climbing wall, and of course, massive water slides. It's a great place for parties or a great spot to lounge around all day long. Book your party by calling 402-562-4269. Come splash and play the Pawnee Plunge Way in Columbus from May 31st through August 8th.
Back to the Recruiting Hour with Mike Schaefer and Connor Happer. Presented by the Recruiting Hour with Mike Schaefer and Connor Happer on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
I don't know what happened there. That was weird.
Yeah, we lost like 13 seconds. The computer is freezing again.
It's okay.
We'll figure it out. I'm not too worried about it.
In case you didn't get the memo, we are back.
We are back. I am Mike Shaver. That is Connor Happer. This is the Recruiting Hour on 93.7 The Ticket. Last night, Greg Austin spoke on...
he did?
Yeah, on Husker Sports Nightly.
Oh.
And he talked about the offensive line.
Uh-oh.
I know. We need like the train whistle or something anytime we talk offensive line.
I'm sure that can be done.
And I just want to say that as someone who went around and bought up all of the available shares of Henry Lutovsky, I am going to make a fortune because it sounds like,
oh, really?
He has really impressed already.
Some Henry hype?
He's not going to come in and take that open guard spot, but he has already sort of performed well enough that there's a real chance that, should they get into the mop-up work, he's going to jump some guys that are older than him to get some of those reps. And I think they're very excited about the potential of a Henry Lutovsky. And that's just great because, I mean, Nebraska's offensive line, and one, it's fairly young, even though it's young in a way that their classes don't move, like Bryce Benhart and Henry Lutovsky are in the same class.
That's crazy to think about.
And it actually hurts your brain the more you think about it.
Mm-hmm.
But so they have these kind of this depth on the offensive line that makes things really sort of interesting. Another guy that Greg Austin was talking about that is not a name I think about enough, but he certainly sounds like he's one of Nebraska's best backup offensive linemen, versatile enough that he can play guard or tackle, and that is Nouredin Nouili. And so he is someone that Austin has been really excited about what he saw from him this spring. And
do we still think it's going to be Sichterman at the other guard?
I do.
Okay.
I think your starting five left to right is basically
Corcoran, Piper, Juergens,
Sichterman,
Benhart.
And then your backups right now, Nouili and Banks seem to be the tackles at this point in time.
Interesting.
Banks may stay on the right side. Newelly may be the backup left tackle for Turner Corcoran, if I understood Greg Austin correctly yesterday. And then you kind of have all those pieces of interior offensive linemen. Trent Hickson appears to have locked in the backup center spot. And if they have any more issues with Cam Jurgens, he's kind of their go-to guy there, with maybe Newelly sort of working behind him as sort of the emergency option at center, should they need it. And then at guard, I mean, you have Brock Bando.
Yep.
You have Ezra Miller. You have all of the guys that were fighting for playing time opportunities before Matt Sichterman sort of took that job and ran with it a little bit this spring.
Is that how we're characterizing it, though? He took it.
It does feel that way. But again, it's just spring football. We'll see if things change a little bit with that. But that would be the narrative that I would have taken away from the spring, from just specifically the offensive line.
Gotcha.
So that
I'm super excited. Frost mentioned him first when he was just generally asked which position group are you looking forward to this year at media days, and he was like, well, I hate to say, but offensive line,
right.
I like it,
And I think that's big because it's been very easy to basically say your linebackers or your defensive backs or whatever. I like that he picked an offensive group. People are very down on where this offense is, and if that offensive line is good, it can enhance the whole offense that much more so. So that is good to hear. I'm sure we're going to hear a lot about the offensive line coming up Thursday when they have that press conference.
Awesome.
So I wanted to ask you, have you been following the Olympics at all besides Casey Tominaga? Which, I mean, you're largely just following the tweets.
I haven't been following really at all. No.
Yeah. I do not care about the Olympics this year. Like, I cannot, and it's not that I really care about it most years, but this year more so than others. I just don't even have it on in like the background. I don't even know where to like find most of the stuff at this point, other than, the big events are going to be on NBC. Everything else is farmed off to like one of the other 16 channels. I just don't care that much about the Olympics.
Maybe if the Royals weren't red hot right now.
That's the biggest thing in your life.
Yeah. I sit down at night. I watch the boys play.
Yeah, I have not watched a Cleveland game start to finish since like the week before I got
When
married.
does the Guardian things go into effect? Next year?
Yeah, so they will start next season as the Guardians. So
Weird.
Will maintain their current name of the Indians until then, and then they will switch to the very dopey Cleveland Guardians.
Yep.
So you got that to look forward to. All right, we are out. The drive is up next. Parker Gabriel comes back. Stick around.